Like I said, across the country, and more and more municipalities like Atlanta, Atlantic City, Cory Booker, Newark, New Jersey, he's invited us to come up there and do a comprehensive review of their properties to see where we can place towers. So we're, 5-10 years ago, we were, grappling with municipalities. Now municipalities are welcoming us in, saying we need this technology. As President Obama said in his last State of the Union address, we're 10 years behind Europe. And so it's just a matter of, whether, the timing's right here, and I hope it is.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. I'm going to open up the floor to the council. Questions, comments?
Keep the lights back on, please.
Yeah, sorry.
What other municipalities in the DeKalb County or nearby region are you also currently presenting to?
Municipalities, the city of Atlanta.
Yeah. DeKalb County, what
We just built a tower in DeKalb County. It wasn't on DeKalb County property. We built on private property and on municipal property.
But who are you currently, besides us, presenting to?
As far as municipalities right now, we're really not pursuing any Metro Atlanta other municipalities. We're building towers in Cobb County, DeKalb County, but they're typically on private property.
Question, that the tower you said is, you're building on private property right now, is it adjacent to any daycare center, park, or whatever?
We've built numerous towers in parks, and we've Pennsylvania, Virginia, the Manassas battlefield, places in Pennsylvania that are near Revolutionary War battlefields in parks. Because what we can do is we'll find an area that's tucked away, put it back in some trees, and we typically do a cell tower like what we should. So yeah, this is very common. And the one in Hershey, Pennsylvania, this was a town that fought and fought and fought, didn't want cell towers, and then all of a sudden they realized, oh my gosh, we have no cell service. And they came to us and said, we have a water tank facility, it's high ground, could you put one here? And we did.
Well, I think those people who came here because of this particular agenda item are probably asking the question, why this particular location? I think you cited that in terms of coverage. The question is whether or not the technology is such that it could be located. We're essentially a 1.1 square mile area. So the question is, and I don't know enough about the state of the technology, is there a non-residential area in our city that might be an appropriate alternative?
And we did search. We did, and there are alternative sites, but they're outside. And this is really the quandary, is that 10 years ago, people wanted cell phones for business purposes or when they were in a car. Well, now more and more people of, Adrian's generation, they don't get landlines. They all use cell phones. So the big issue, and Mayor Reed told me this numerous times. He says, we are going to lose residents if people graduate from college, can't move into an area and have cell phone coverage. And so to attract new residents to Atlanta, he wants to make it Atlanta the most wireless city in the South.
Okay. To that, in your presentation you cited that one of the criteria that you used was the quality of the cell coverage at present. What are some of the other criteria that you use?
Well, this is a kind of an ideal scenario because you do have a small area. You've got 7,500 citizens that are completely underserved. So if a carrier like Metro PCS, they would love to be the only carrier for Clarkston, and they want to be the first one in. And they want to create some brand loyalty with the citizens. So it's a great way for them to serve those 7,500 people and serve them first.
So it could be any, so does it need to be immediately in order to serve those underserved customers, does it necessarily have to be sited in the interior of the area that is currently underserved?
Absolutely. And let me explain that to you real briefly. Everybody hears about 4G and LTE and all these new upgrades. Well, what's taking place is as smartphones and tablet computers are becoming utilized more and more, the amount of data that they are utilizing, and the amount of bandwidth they're utilizing, is taking a coverage area where it used to be 10 years ago 3 miles. It's now a third of a mile in a very dense area. In Manhattan, someplace like that, you couldn't build them sometimes, so they have to deploy rooftop units, and they put cubes in businesses just to bounce the signal off. But what you got here is you got a central location that would basically cover the area and the 7,500 people that live in the area. It will absolutely make people more apt to look at this area as a place they start a business, move their family. And again, it's not people my generation, it's people that are Adrian's age, people that are 28 years old, they've never had a landline.
Let me ask you, so all of the potential health concerns or worries about those issues aside, I think that there are probably some concerns about the aesthetic impact of a 190-foot pole.
And can I make one comment? And I understand that, and this is something that we've been doing for years. Mm-hmm. So we understand that it's a tempest in a teapot to us. There's no danger from the radiation. It's just not. And again, don't rely on my word. Just read what the American Cancer Society.
So with respect to the potential for an aesthetic impact on the community.
And that is the key. There are 2 things that you can accomplish by putting the town in this location. One is you can control, because it's going to go on your property, not on private property. You get to have a great deal of influence and input on the design. The other thing is, by putting it in a central location, you're going to avoid a proliferation of towers in the area. So it's the federal law and all this. I won't get into all that, but it's cell towers are required for the 21st century. As I mentioned, President Obama said in the State of the Union speech, we're way behind the times. We've got to loosen up regulation. We've got to allow these facilities to be built so that we can be more like Europe. And I was lucky enough to be in Rome, Italy, recently. And if you look out over the Vatican, there's cell towers. Very close to the Vatican. They're not in the middle of the Vatican, but they serve the area. I mean, it's a fact of life.
Well, I mean, we used to have telegraph poles that ran along the, and so we don't need those anymore either.
Right. But, and at some point, maybe someday, the cell towers won't be required. But I will tell you, it will not be on life.
Let me ask you then, is there an alternative design that it would have less of an aesthetic impact on the community?
We have looked at all sorts of designs that we can possibly imagine over the years. This is the least, and I'm not going to tell you that the cell towers are beautiful. Okay, they're beautiful to me, but in reality, it is. If it were left up to me, I love nature, and if it were left up to me, we would have no telephone poles, we would have no power lines. It would all be just lush green vegetation. That's not reality. So what you have to do is you have to find something that's going to fit in as best as possible. The stealth monopole is the best alternative.
So
a tree tower or something like that, that would be like a frog costume.
Why do I think you've said that before? Let me ask you, so the height of the pole, is there some significance to?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
And again, this is a very dense area as far as trees.
Mhm.
So you have to be above the trees. You can't, the one thing that these RF signals won't do is go through the trees, won't go through the trees.
So is it partly about topographic elevation as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I went ahead and went into ArcGIS and I determined the approximate elevation of my house compared to the site that you guys have selected. I'm actually 71 feet higher. So what if you were to just put it in my house? Would it be better?
What really happens is they can tilt the antennas.
Mhm.
Even inside this, and this is 3 feet in diameter,
Mhm.
basically. So they have antennas they can tilt up and down, and they do. And they do it remotely, by the
Okay.
way. So they basically test and they talk to customers and try to figure out how to optimize the tilt of the antennas. So, at some point, the main thing is you have to be away from the vegetation. You have to get above it.
I think what I'm partly getting at is the fact that if you can compensate for the topographic limitations, can you also compensate by relocating it from the ideal location that you work with?
No, and that's, again, it's what you basically end up with. They used to call them, they still do, but naturally the companies, AT&T and people are going away from calling these search areas or search ranges. They now call them search dots because of what the smartphones, the amount of bandwidth that the smartphone uses.
Mhm.
You have to be right on top of the people utilizing those phones. In a mile area is the absolute maximum you can get. And so we're in effect in the middle of that search area. It's a great location. It's a great location from a technical standpoint, from an aesthetic standpoint, and since it's on y'all's property, from a financial standpoint.
Let me ask you, in addition, if we can, I don't know, I'm assuming that most people out in the audience don't have a copy of the plan details that we were given. Do you have a copy of them? Do you have a copy of them?
The actual
Yeah.
CDs?
Yeah, there were some plans. I noticed proposed site plan sheet LE-2 shows a plan view detail of the proposed site. And it calls out future tenant areas. And I was kind of curious if you could kind of line out what those are.
Okay,
What will that look like?
So what you basically have is you have a 100 by 100 foot compound.
Mhm.
10 feet of the perimeter is landscape. And then we have a screen inside a fence. And then inside of there we have small pads where the carriers put their equipment. So they have ground equipment and they have equipment in the tower.
Okay, so this is all ground equipment.
Right.
Okay. And what is that? Is that going to mean that there is the more tenants that are there, the more inspections of different personnel will be necessary?
Well, it's very rare. I mean, every time we lots of towers, it's very rare. They notify us when they go on the property and they need to make a change or whatever. Like I said, a lot of this can be done remotely. And so it's just very, very rare that they have to visit the site once it's constructed. The tower's constructed in a month. I mean, it's, we kind of get in, do our work, the tower goes up in a weekend.
Because this is right next to a recreational area, the question that comes to my mind is there a potential for this to be an attractive nuisance for kids?
Well, and after looking at this, and again, we do a lot of these. And again, I'm up in New Jersey, I'm here, I'm there, whatever. And so I don't waste a lot of time if I don't see a solution for everybody. And I was driven down the road by our site acquisition person, and I looked at it. We have an attractive nuisance where it is right now. It's an unlit kind of area with some sort of concrete barrier. And I said, well, we'll put this whole area up. And so what we'll end up with is a landscape area that will blend in with the current treescape. And people will drive by night. They won't notice. I mean, the photo sims that we've done, that's an absolute worst case scenario, so it'll look much better. And it'll be something that will not draw anybody's attention, it won't be lit. You know, it'll be, the tower does not have a light on it. Particularly at night, it'll be invisible.
Okay, so low-flying aircraft are not gonna be,
No, we go through all the FAA,
okay,
you know, screening, and make sure that we're at the proper height. There's, once you get over 200 feet, you have to line. So, and we always try to
we're
avoid.
just shy of it,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, all right.
Any more? Thank you.
How long does it take to remove it in the event that you quit using it? Is that part of?
Yeah.
So that's
And
part of it?
and that's in the lease, is
Okay.
the day, we'll be paying at the end of this lease about $9,000